Yeah, with the devil. Oh, yeah. Okay. So, what have we got today? Well, I'll tell you what we got today. Otherwise, there'd be no point in doing this video, would it? So, I've got the Marantz PM6007 and I got the Yamaha A-S500. Now, this is an older version of the A-S501. This is the original version. It's been updated and upgraded since the 501. Now, right from the off, I will tell you the difference between the A-S500 and the A-S501 is that the A-S501 has an inbuilt DAC. Now, you're all going, well, that's it, the Marantz wins. Well, not really, and I'll tell you why later on in this video. But let's have a look at the front of them, see what they've got. Have a look on the back, maybe have a look inside, if I can be bothered to take the screws off. Okay, see how we're doing for time. And see what the differences are and see how they sound. And is one better than the other? So first of all, the front. Okay, so we've got, oh, look, a volume knob. An amp with a volume knob. So volume knob, balance, treble, bass, headphone input, on, off. And with the Marantz, it's got a selector switch here, which a light goes back and forth for your phono, CD, network, tuner, recorder, blah, de blah, blah. Okay, and that just goes like that. The Yamaha's a more traditional input selector. You just got your line-ins and tuner, dock, CD, whatever here. Okay, it's got bass, treble, and balance. But the Yamaha also has a record out. So you can set this to CD if you want to record a CD, and then you can listen to the tuner or your record player or whatever while that's recording the CD. Now, they've omitted this off the newer versions of amps because people don't really record off amps as much as they used to anymore. With the Marantz, you've got button push for your AB speakers, whereas this has a knob selector to go back and forth here off. So pretty much the same standard thing here. They both have a source direct, so it's pure direct on the Yamaha, source direct, where is it there for the Marantz, and that's supposed to cut out all the tone controls, bypass them all to give you a better signal. Now, because the Marantz has some digital inputs, it has a filter here for the optical and the coax, filter 1 and filter 2. I have to say, I've tried filter 1 and filter 2. I can't hear a difference. It may be my 56-year-old ears. They're failing me. Ear? What? But I can't hear a difference between filter 1 and filter 2. Nothing at all. Whatever. One thing the Yamaha does have over the Marantz is a loudness control. Now, this is not just a loudness button. This is a variable loudness control. So this is how it works, because a lot of people use it wrong. You set your volume, okay, to where you think your loudest listening volume will be, the loudest you'll ever have it, okay? So just say it's there, right? And then you set this then all the way down to, what is it, minus, oh, my eyes, 30 dB, I can't even see it. Okay, so you set that there. And what it'll do, it'll boost the bass and treble for you at lower listening volumes. This actually is your volume button then, okay? And as you increase the volume, it changes the amount of treble and bass that's being put out compared to the volume that you're producing. So obviously that's going to be full volume, and that's going to be minus 30 dB. And at minus 30 dB, it puts out more bass and treble, so you get a better listening experience. And it works well. I do like that on the Yamahas. When it comes to looks, I suppose it's all down to personal preference, really. Now, obviously, the Marantz is a bit more unique in its style. A bit more modern looking, whereas the Yamaha's a little bit more traditional. But in saying that, I would say the Yamaha will probably fit into most hi-fi systems if you don't have another Yamaha component. Whereas with Marantz, if you really wanted to look matching, you'd have to get the matching network player or CD player to go with it. Otherwise, it's going to look a bit out of place. So with the Yamaha, it probably will fit into more hi-fi systems easier, more aesthetically. But, you know, some people might not even give a monkeys, so it doesn't really matter. But for me, I like it to all to look nice and neat, okay? When it comes to build quality, well, the Yamaha seems pretty well built, but I have to say, the Marantz PM6007 is built like a tank. It's very well made, very solid. With the Yamaha, I do find the buttons that feel a little bit more cheapy. For instance, look. What the deuce? They just pop off quite easily, and they are a little bit plasticky compared to the Marantz. The Marantz controls, look, try and get them off. They're not easy, okay? Just feels, they're plastic knobs, but they just feel a little bit more tactile, a little bit better made, in my opinion. Even the on-off, everything feels a little bit more well made as opposed to the Yamaha. Anyway, enough of the front. Let's have a little look at the back. On the back, you've got your speaker binding posts. Again, you've got AB speakers. They both have a phono stage with your ground there. Okay, your inputs here. The main difference being on this one is that the Marantz has 2 optical inputs and a coaxial, whereas the Yamaha has no digital inputs at all. It doesn't have them. It does have a dock here for an iPod, which is probably obsolete now, so that's a bit pointless. They both have subwoofers out, so you can stick a subwoofer in. This button here is, if I see that there, this button here is if you want the auto standby on or off. And on the Yamaha here, you can set it to high or low for your different sort of ohms of speakers. So if you want AB on 4 ohms and whatever, you turn it to low, and if you want 8 ohms, you turn it up, blah, blah, blah. Personally, I always keep it on high. I never have it on low. Just leave it there. I would never touch it, just leave it on high. Job done. But if you do want to change it, just, you know, make sure you read the manual correctly to which setting it needs to be on. But I just leave it on high. I've got 2 speakers, high, done, bam. Just hit my mic there if it made a noise. Tough. And one of the main differences, so the Yamaha has a fixed lead. Now, it's not a biggie, whereas this has a 3-point lead here you can take in and out. So you can change the power supply or power lead if you wanted to, I suppose. But also, it's just easier to fit this into your stack sometimes and then plug it in from the back, rather than having to feed this through like this. And then reaching from the back and then pulling it through. So I suppose that makes it a bit easier, but it's not a biggie to me. It doesn't really make a difference. Now, what about specs? So what are the specs? Oh, everybody likes a bit of specs, don't they? Not the ones you see through. Okay, so the Marantz PM6007, 45 watts into 8 ohms, 60 watts into 4 ohms. A-S500 is 85 watts, so a bit more powerful than the Marantz, into 8 ohms, that is. Total harmonic distortion in the Marantz is 0.08%, whereas this is 0.019%. So this has a lower figure. So this will be, so the lower the figure, the closer the output of the amp will sound like the original recording. The higher the figure, the more coloration to the sound you'll get. So it does have a better total harmonic distortion, the Yamaha. Frequency response on the Marantz is 10 Hz to 70 kilohertz, and the Yamaha is 10 Hz to 100 kilohertz. Now, yeah, okay, so the frequency response on the Yamaha is higher, but realistically, human hearing is 20 to 20 kilohertz. So is them extra hertz going to make much of a difference? I don't know. I suppose it's subjective, really. The phonos in them, signal to noise ratio, 83 dB in the Marantz and 90 dB in the Yamaha. So it actually has a better, or on paper, a better phono stage in the Yamaha at 90 dB. So should have less background noise. So when it comes to the remotes, I suppose you could say that the Marantz does have a better remote. It seems a bit more solid than the Yamaha, but look, you know, as I said before, you point it, press a button, and it works. So they both do that. But the Yamaha seems a bit more better laid out. Both the amps remotes will work the relevant CD player to go with the amp, but I think there's more functions on the Marantz remote for the CD player than there is on the Yamaha. Also, if you're a little bit, you know, nearsighted or whatever, or farsighted, sorry, it's much easier to read. The words are a little bit more clearer, they're on the buttons, whereas this, a little bit smaller, the buttons are a bit smaller. But there we are, it is what it is. I wasn't sure whether I was going to have a look inside, but balls to it. Let's have a look inside. I don't really know what I'm looking at, but it's nice to have a look and see. You can go look at it and go, ooh, look at that. Nice. Let's get it off. Let's get the top off and have a little look. Okay, so here's the inside of it. Ta-da! So there you've got your transformer here and here. That's a sealed unit, that is, so I don't know what one it is. But they look about the same size. Maybe this one might be a little more powerful because of the more wattage. One heat sink and a small heat sink there, one big heat sink. This one has two heat sinks here and here. And a smaller heatsink at the back there. This is the phono stage here, this board, I believe, and on the Marantz, that's their phono stage there. Now, one thing that's glaringly obvious as opposed to the two is this is where all your digital input is. And fair play to Marantz, they have tried to shield the DAC in there so it doesn't interfere with the other internal components. So going back to what I said was, sometimes not having a DAC in an amp can be a good thing. The more you cram into an amplifier, although Marantz has done a pretty good job, they've done a pretty good job, like I said, they've shielded the DAC a little bit, put this casing over it. But the more you cram in there, the more noise you're going to get, the more interference you're going to get. Okay, so you don't get as good a sound the more you cram into these amplifiers. It's nice to have an amplifier that does everything. Some of them have HDMI on and things like that. And this is potentially why receivers don't sound really that good in two-channel stereo, because there's so much crammed into an AV receiver. Whereas a basic amp, I mean, my preference would be not even to have a phono stage in it. And I buy my own phono stage with my own DAC. I just have an amp that's just doing the job of producing the sound and amplifying it. That's all I wanted to do. That would be my personal preference, and I think you would get a better reproduction of the music if you just had an amp doing that with no phono stage, no DAC, nothing. So it has its pluses to have it in there, so you haven't got to mess about with getting an external DAC. But normally a decent external DAC will always sound a little bit better than the DAC that's built into these amplifiers. So with this Yamaha amplifier, I use the Topping E50 DAC, a very good DAC, and it's a superior DAC to the DAC that's built into this. Now, I said in previous videos that Marantz, these Marantz amplifiers and CD players, PM6007, CD6007, were supposed to have the AK DACs in them. But because of the fire that shut down the AK factory for 6 months to a year or so, a lot of these amps and CD players have the ESS DACs in them. I'm not saying they're any worse or any better than the AK DACs. The AK was slightly better spec than the ESS DACs they've put in them, but they've implemented them well, and most people say they can't hear much of a difference between the AK DAC and the ESS DAC the way it's been implemented in the CD player and the amp. But there you go. But in my Topping E50, the DAC is far superior to the DAC that's in this. Okay, so we've had a look on the front, we've had a look on the back, we've even had a look inside. What? You don't get that on other channels. Well, you probably do, so. Anyway, but also, how do they sound against each other? Well, luckily for you, I've done a sound test. Let's have a listen. Oink.
I never answer to no, man, I still go, 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 go. Hustle hard, hustle every single day. I'll be making moves till I'm buried in my grave. To the system, I don't wanna be a slave. I've been doing shit my way, on the highway, and in the driveway is a nice range. Cause I grind through the climb, I invite pain. You never hear me, bitch, nah, I don't complain. Just gotta flip the switch and you can go and obtain anything you want, anything you need. Your mind's got the key ingredient, it's belief.
But I'm so frustrated. Hello to my loneliness. I guess that ignorance is bliss. Take me back to before the new. Rewind and take it out of cue. Innocence can be a young man's game. Stand up for the heart of shame. I wish I knew how much I miss. I know.
So, what do you think? Now, I can only use YouTube music. Not the best, but it gives you some idea how the amps sound. Now, what I did, I didn't use the DAC to make it a fair comparison, just testing the amps themselves. I didn't use the DAC in the CD player that I used, or the DAC in the amp. I used my external DAC, the top in E50, to make it an even playing ground. All right, okay. Yeah, straight from the CD player into the DAC, and then RCA into the amps. So you're just hearing the sound from the amps. Now, what did I think? Well, I made some notes because I can't bloody remember. Come on, sort it out. Okay. Now, I have been A/B-ing these with other music sources, digital sources, CDs, streaming. So I have got some idea of what I personally think amp sounds better. So on track 1, the jazzy sort of track, not much difference in all fairness. Possibly the Marantz being slightly warmer, but very hard to tell. Both put up a good performance on track 1. On track 2, the more R&B track, I thought that the voices were slightly more recessed on the Marantz, with the top end slightly rolled off. Yamaha was a little brighter, but a little bit more punchy, I thought. Track 3, the rock track, really not much difference to write home about. I thought the Yamaha probably outperformed the Marantz slightly in the rock track. Track 4, now I thought track 4 really showed off the Yamaha personally. The Yamaha, the voices were clear, more forward, and a more open sound. Track 5, the dance track, the last track, I felt that the Yamaha had a beefier bass, a much better bass presence than the Marantz. The Yamaha possibly had a slightly better punch to it, but the Yamaha, definitely the cymbals were more apparent on it. And going back to track 4, I forgot to write this down. In track 4, they're using a tambourine. You can hear it in the background. And the Marantz actually loses that a little bit. All of a sudden it disappears, whereas the Yamaha keeps it all the way through the track. So that's something to bear in mind. Going back to the last track, the cymbals were more apparent on the Yamaha, and I felt the Yamaha had a bigger soundstage. So the thing is, though, right, is I've had this Marantz amp now for maybe a year and a half or so, and it's a great amp. It really is. And I did compare it in a previous video to the Yamaha A-S500, and I thought it was a very even comparison. But this Yamaha A-S500, in my opinion, is a better sounding amp than the Marantz. Oh, controversial. Going to come in with pitchforks and torches to my house now. Oh.
Remember, get him alive if you can, but get him!
Kick his ass.
But search every ravine, every crevice, but the fiend must be found! Are you ready? Light your torches and go!
Yamaha is rubbish. I'm gonna get him.
Okay, but definitely I've A/B'd it and tested it, and this Marantz AS500 is a great amp. It may not have the nice knobs on it and a DAC, whatever, but my God, it sounds good. And considering I paid £90 for this amp, you're having a laugh. Okay, £90. So you think about it, I've bought an AS500 for 90 quid. I paid £100 for the CD 300, both second hand. And this was, I think, when I bought it when it first came out, it was £499, and the CD player £399. So I paid £800 for the CD player in this, and I paid less than £200 for this. Okay, I had to get an external DAC, but you are getting a better DAC if you get an external one. So for 400 quid compared to £800, half the price, I've got a better sounding amp than especially with the DAC I've bought, better DAC. So all in all, you're getting a better deal, a better sound, buying these second-hand kits over the newer ones. Now, again, I know it's controversial because people love Marantz, and I'm sure I'll have people kicking off in the comments, but here's the thing. If you want to kick off in the comments and call me names, I couldn't give a flying
fudge cake.
Okay? Because I've got skin like a rhino's arse. It doesn't really bother me at all. And I'm happy for everybody to share their opinion. But realistically, be nice. Okay. Anyway, really, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. If you've enjoyed the video and you got this far, give it a flipping like. Come on, sort it out. And if you haven't just subscribed, if I could say that word, subscribed, okay? What's wrong with you? Come on, sort it out, okay? Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next video.